going nowhere.
Can I push
Your
this
brother
down
was
a
in the
bit?
bathroom or you were there?
Yeah, my brother was in the bathroom. And I was waiting for the bathroom, and at the same time, my sister was giving my mom a compliment. And I was also trying to give my mother a compliment and could only get the compliment halfway out before my sister starts telling me to shut up and I don't know what I'm talking about. So my little brother was in the bathroom during her and I's disagreement, and I started to step towards the door once I realized that I couldn't reiterate or even stick up for myself what I was saying. So I started to step towards the front door. Well, she passes in front of me, and she stands there in the doorway of the kitchen and has this bowl of milk in her hand from having a bowl of cereal. And she was sitting there staring me dead in my face, saying, "You better shut the fuck up or else I'll get the cops back over here." And yeah, and she walks away, and I said, as I'm trying to exit, the kitchen, I'd gotten a bit mad at that point that I couldn't stick up for myself and that she was threatening me and all that. I said, "Why? So that you could seduce them again?" Because the previous night, the cops had been over there because I had called them, basically to report my sister of she's the reason why my mom has had a stroke. Like, her moving in is the reason my mom has had a stroke. And throughout my whole life, she's been the one torturing me and, all that biz. Well, she was standing on a banister, and she had a tank top on. She's a very heavy-set woman. She's almost 300 pounds. And she basically had her titties right in his face. How he was standing, because he wasn't standing on the porch, he was standing by the porch, and she was standing on the porch over the banister. And so that's why I said that. Well, I'm saying that as I'm trying to exit, and then she comes back again and blocks my way again and throws a bowl of milk in my face.
How old is this lady?
Almost 30. She's almost 30 years old.
Well, dang.
And I stood there in shock. I wiped the milk off my face, and I look at her, and I'm like, "Really? Really?" And she turns back around, because I'm like in shock, like I'm stopped right dead in my tracks. I'm just like fucking dumbfounded. Like like she would do something like this. And she goes, "Yeah, really, you piece of fucking shit." And at that time, my brother was basically charging out of the bathroom to the left of me. And so I had a face to turn him, and because I was afraid he was going to do something to me. Because he was like fucking thundering out of that fucking bathroom. I was fucking scared. All the while keeping an eye on her from my right side. I turned to face him to my left, and he gets up in my face, and he starts pointing towards his door saying, "You need to get the fuck out of here, yada 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 yada. You have no right to be in here. Dad gave me every right to kick people out." Didn't even ask me nicely. to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's pretty much pinned me, like he's at a distance where he's pretty much pinned me against the stove at this point. And then like, cause I gotten completely distracted. Like I was just like watching everything that was unfolding in front of me. I was like, what the? It just escalated so quickly. And I had been trying to diffuse it, trying to tell her, hey, look, you're just, you're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. Can you please just let me speak? Can you please just let me speak? And so I'm standing there pretty much pinned onto the stove. And as I'm talking to him, she comes from my right and has pretty much cornered me again. Because she walked away twice, but then came back. Like each time she came back. And they've pretty much pinned me in between the two by now. Is like before I could even get a chance to try to start going towards the door, she would block my way every time. And she goes, bitch, if you don't fucking get out of here, I'm gonna fucking call the cops and you're gonna be arrested for assault or some shit like that. And I'm like, I'm sitting there trying to say, yo, guys, like, calm down. You're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. And if you don't stop, Dylan, when you die of natural causes, I'm not going to bring you back from the dead and give you your wings, because that's the type of work I work in. And he thought I was taking an aggressive stance with him when my hands were actually in my pockets and I was shrugging at him as I was talking. He thought I was trying to like my hands were out of my pockets. He thought my hands were out of my pockets and that I was trying to beef up to him. And they were in my pockets. I don't fucking touch these people, And he goes, he says it again, if you don't get out of here, you're gonna be arrested. And I turn and I look at her and I look back at him and I'm like, okay, for one, she threw a bowl of milk in my face. For two, she's blocking my way. And he goes, I don't care, you need to get out of here. And her throwing that bowl of milk in your face was nothing compared to what you've said to her. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm literally sitting here trying to stick up for my right to speak, and y'all are, and he just interrupts me the whole time saying, I don't fucking care, you need to get out of here. Yeah, it just keeps fucking repeating. How am I supposed to get out when I'm literally being blocked in by the both of you? Is what I was trying to tell him. And so I spit in his face. And I spit in his face for multiple reasons. One, to get him to understand that her throwing that bowl of milk in my face was her spitting on me, because it was a half-eaten bowl of cereal. And two, that I was trapped. They were trapping me in. Those are at least two of the reasons as to why I did it. And at that point, he struck me at least 5 times in my face, while she is still blocking me from leaving. And by the time he went to go for the 6th one, I told him, do it again, see what happens. Do it again, I dare you. Because I was sick of it at this point. I was mad. At this point, I was mad. Me not inviting him to hit me, but me basically saying, hey, you do this, there's going to be consequences,
Mm-hmm.
was me being mad. You see how long it took for me to get mad versus how long it took for them to get mad? And he hit me a sixth time. And so I started punching him back. Well, at this point, my sister had moved from the spot, from blocking me in. And I'm trying to go towards the door, and she's blocking the door now. The front door now. She's not blocking the kitchen doorway anymore. She's blocking the front door now. And, oh wait, no, I had to push past her. And then she went to the front door. I thought she moved because I pushed past her so hard. That's what it was. And she had went and stood by the front door. And, I ended up having to fight Dylan a couple more times in the living room because she was blocking the doorway to the living room to the front porch. And he had caught up with me, and he was basically chasing me at this point. And had landed a few more hits on me before I could grab the door. And I don't know if I hit my sister with the door, pulling it open, or if she moved. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was more focused on trying to get out. And, I ran outside. Oh, he hit me one more time before I could even open the door. He hit me in the back of the head one more time before I could open the door. And I ran outside and ran down the front porch, ran down the ramp that we had, and he was chasing me still at this point. And then, it wasn't until I got off of the ramp and I was almost about halfway to the shed I was temporarily staying in that he pushed me to the ground and started hitting me multiple times behind the head again.
How big is your brother?
He's about my height, maybe an inch or two taller.
How old is he?
He's 19.
Did you beat the fuck out of him?
Look, see, man, the thing is once I get to their state of mind like that, I'm seeing red and I cannot stop. I cannot stop myself. So I do every preventative I can to not get into that state of mind. Whether that means taking hits or not. You know, whether that means taking hits or trying to remove myself from the situation. Because I can only take so many hits. I can take up to 20 hits before I start seeing red. And I did land a few hits on him in the living room and in the kitchen after he had hit me. Of course, I never... My rule has always been if they hit you 3 times, then you can start hitting them. Well, I was very lenient because I understand that they were going through a lot. And so I allowed him to hit me at least 5 times, going on 6, before I actually hit him back. Just to give him a chance to realize, oh shit, I fucked up, you know? Well, when I was about halfway to the shed, he pushed me he either pushed me or punched me in the shoulders, knocking me down. And then,
Shoot me dead, please. was saying that.
Yeah, no. And then when I was down in the ground, he struck me multiple times behind the head. I got up and I turned around and it freaked him out. You could just tell, like, he was, what the fuck? Like, he was just dumbfounded. And, I grabbed a weed eater that was there on the corner of the shed and I had it turned it on. I don't even think it worked. I was just using it as a blunt object tool. And I started charging at him with it. I was going to attempt to throw it, but my arms just got really, really weak for some reason. And I couldn't throw it, so I had to keep holding it and run at him with it. And he was able to get into the house before I could hit him with it and close the door behind him. He left Olivia out on the porch. She'd been standing out on the porch watching. And he'd left her out on the porch. And I looked at her and I spit by her feet and I said, "You try this shit again, it's gonna be worse." And that's when I walked into the shed. I jogged into the shed. My nose was bleeding by this point. And I got a towel and I started, cleaning myself up and all that stuff. And I did a recording of what I could remember as that incident had just happened, just to make sure that I could get everything. Well, in that recording, some parts are still missing because my brain had started to become fuzzy at this point. Hi.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to go over memory lane to make sure I got everything correct with my story and all that.
You need anything with your lunch?
No, I'm alright. Actually, do I have a straw?
Need a straw?
Yeah, they did not give me a straw again.
Look at this picture.
And I think they took that other straw.
Yesterday, you know how you just take a whole bunch of other time?
And, well, anyways, it wasn't until I can start, talking to her with, all that.
Did you get
that
your
I
answers
could,
you wanted from
yeah,
Kisser?
yeah, that I could even remember, my story and all that. I was just able to recall perfectly the memory to her of the entire incident. And even the original recording I had, parts of it was missing because my brain had started to go fuzzy at that point, and I was upset and I was crying and I was bleeding out of my nose and stuff like that by the time I could record it. So thankfully I was able to just go over perfect memory just now with her about it, and it's just I needed to get all that off my chest. So the last time she had cornered me was the last time she cornered me in the kitchen. I had moved towards her to try and see if she would move. So I had moved off of the stove and towards her to see if she'd move. And she wouldn't move. And Dylan was taking an aggressive stance towards me while also basically pinning me against her. And she was just standing there, not doing anything. Well, Dylan told me that if I didn't get out that door right now before the cops came, I would be arrested or worse. And so by this time, I was just standing there looking at them as if to say, how am I supposed to leave when y'all are literally pinning me against you two? I didn't say that, but I was standing there looking at him awestruck. And so I spit in Dylan's face again. And he landed a couple more hits on me. That's when I decided to push past Olivia. And it was like me pushing past Olivia pushed her towards the front door. So she went and she stood by the front door. Well, I get to the living room and Dylan had landed a couple more hits on me in the living room. I lost count of how many hits he landed on me in the living room. Before I decided, you know what, F this, grabbed the door and pulled it open. And I don't know if I hit Olivia with the door or if she moved, but I was able to get out of the door. And Dylan had also told me that if I spit in his face again, he'd be hitting me again. Before I was even pinned against the two, he had told me this.